Trying to go live. 1 second. Why it doesn't let me? It's very bizarre. Hello, everyone. Welcome into Art My Medicine podcast. My name is Dorota. I am a creative warrior, and I do chat to other creatives about all things creative. And today I have a special guest, Avnie, who joined me and whose mission is to ignite that inner creative being within herself and others. Welcome, Avnie, and please do tell us a bit about yourself.
Hello, Dorota, and hello, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here today, Dorota. Thank you very much for this very kind and generous invitation. And I just want to firstly add, I love what you do. I love this podcast. I love the difference you're making and the wonderful human being you are. So I really applaud you. Thank you for that. And so my name is Avnie. I'm also known as Art by Avnie. I'm an artist. I paint abstract art, which started professionally about 15 years ago. And I also organize events. Now, these events started about 3-4 years ago as little paint and sip events, because one of the things I really got a lot of pleasure out was to ignite creativity in everybody. So I did adult classes, I did children classes, private classes, I did corporate classes, and it's just, even from people who are not creative, just a little bit of creativity really made a difference in their life. So that's how it started. Then it went virtually during the lockdown. And then about 6 months ago, I had this initiative of an art summit, because through the number of years, a lot of people I've spoken to are feeling very stuck in their journey. They're feeling stuck being artistic. They're feeling stuck being creative. There's lots of barriers, lots of obstacles in the way that just stop them taking that next step, stop them taking action. And these are various different things. So that's the reason my next project, which is actually next Wednesday and Thursday, is an art summit where it's not myself. There's a joint force of artists, including you, Dorota. We've got these wonderful 9 artists in fact, 10 artists from all around the world joining forces and creating this big splash to make a difference in the art world. So I'm super, super, super excited about that.
That's amazing. So you are an artist for a long, long time, but how your artistic journey started really? Have you been artistic as a child, or have you had some influence when growing up? How did it happen that you became an artist?
I think it's just in my blood. I've always been the creative person, the go-to person for anything that requires even a dash of creativity. It could be setting the table on Christmas Day. It could be anything that requires a little bit of beautification. I was the go-to person. And especially like 15, 20 years ago, without showing my age, there wasn't, a lot of things were hand done. So every birthday card, every Christmas card, every birthday banner for anybody, it was all hand done, hand painted, beautified, and that's what I did. Any occasion, I just loved to add creativity and personalize things. And that's what I love. I love personalizing things. So that's where creativity comes into play, to just go that one step further to make it more for that person. Yeah.
That's amazing. You mentioned about creating organizing events. Do you believe that creativity is something that can be passed on, that you can really ignite it by being around other creative souls?
100%. I mean, classic example, Dorota, you inspire me, right? Creating this summit, I am swimming in an ocean of artists at the moment, and there's nothing that inspires me more. Just talking to these artists, just to see their work, to see their progression, to see their journey, and to be a part of it. It is the most inspiring thing for me as an artist. And that's why this summit is created, because by listening to other people's stories, by observing how they do what they do and why they do it, I think that certainly puts this creative oxygen in us to really want us to give us that motivation and that ammunition to take action.
Amazing. Amazing. You mentioned that that you feel really now in your element, but I am aware that there were times when you didn't feel that that element being there. Could you tell us how you overcome those moments when you really felt that you lacked creativity and inspiration?
I don't think I lacked creativity, because I've always been creative. But one thing I lacked was self-expression. So it's for actually a good part of my life is very grey. I was living, I was almost surviving but not living, if that makes sense. So a lot of I would say a chunk of my life, a good 20 years plus, I've just been doing. I've always been very dedicated, very committed, very hardworking, but not self-expressed. So I created art for many years, but I don't feel that art came from deep within, especially my earlier pieces, I'll be totally honest, whereas now my latter pieces, I see it as almost meditative. Like even the one you can see behind me, that's one of my recent pieces. And creating that, I was lost. I was lost whilst creating it in a beautiful way, because I was just in my element, and I don't care what people think of it, because for me, it was such a piece where I was connected to something inside, and I felt that connection. And sometimes it's difficult to put that into words, but there's something very surreal, something very powerful, and something very alive about that. So that's the difference. So the years and almost decades I spent not knowing myself, being in a kind of a plodding along state, and at that time I didn't even know something was missing. Right? We just carry on with life, thinking this is life, and there are elements where you feel frustrated. Right? You feel something isn't right. You feel something's missing, but you don't know what it is. So you just keep going. And I'm really grateful that I'm no longer there anymore.
So what helped you to overcome that hurdle? How did you found yourself within? How did you discover that element?
I really worked on myself. I think the difference was when I was disconnected, there was no me. I didn't look in the mirror apart from, the obvious stuff of me put our makeup on or get ready quickly. But I didn't really look at me, didn't see me. For me, I didn't exist. It was always for other people. I was the perfect people pleaser. And I think, so I stopped that. I started thinking about what makes me happy, what makes me tick, what lights me up, what makes me feel good, and do more of it. And that's kind of, it sounds a bit clichéfied and cheesy, but I think that is what I did. I started to know myself, like just dig a bit deeper.
That's very, very, very huge statement. And I believe that knowing ourselves and doing what we really love is the key. However, as artists, there is a very fine line to be yourself, express yourself artistically as you want, as you feel in the flow, versus creating pieces that sell, right? Because artists do try to survive and make living. So what do you think is the key? How to find the balance? How to make sure that those pieces that are you sell, rather than doing the jobs that keep you going financially?
Amazing. So, like Dorota, the summit we've created is called the 80-20 artist, right? So now the 80-20 ratio is kind of answers the question what you just asked. So from my opinion, this is something, it's actually, the whole 80-20 principle is based on the Pareto principle. Okay, so it's not mine at all, but they relate it to business and everything else. In the art world, especially exactly what we're talking about here, 80% is down to our mindset, right? So 80% is a mindset, 20% is the strategizing and the action and the doing, right? Now, if we work on the 80% of the mindset, which is, for example, what I've been doing for the last 5 years, really digging deep, connecting with myself, knowing what makes me tick. After doing that work, then having 20% of the action, that's when you get the winning formula. That's when you can create that happy medium where you fulfill your inner artist within you, and you can create art that sells as well. So for example, what you do, like from the little I do know, what you do is a lot of creative art where it's all, well, not all, but a lot of it's related to the mindfulness and well-being. Now, that is something that's you, that's something that you're about, and that's what you ignite. But the art you create through that resonates with so many people, right? So that's where you've done that 80%. And now from that, you're strategizing and taking action where you can only win, right? So you don't have to make big compromises. Yes, there's always little compromises we've got to make where if we know, there's always little compromises because that's the world we live in. It's very commercialized and we have to put food in our mouths. But at the same time, we can still feed our soul.
Okay, so what do you feed your soul with?
I feed my soul with lots of things. Definitely igniting creativity in others lights me up big time, big time. The summit I'm doing already yesterday, I didn't share this with you, and I need to share this with all the speakers as well. We've got another speaker. Now, this speaker, she's not an artist. She's actually a mental health first aider with a background of running, I think, 2 or 3 huge art organizations. She is a wonderful asset to the summit, where she's going to be sharing all this experience of being a mindfulness first aider, but also her journey from creativity. Now, that lights me up. Like, I was dancing when she was happy and she could make the time slots. I was dancing with joy. I was screaming because I was so happy that we cemented her, and she is absolutely phenomenal. And what she's going to bring to the table is going to make a huge difference as well as all the other artists. So that really feeds my soul for sure.
Amazing. Do you get inspired by other artistic genre? Let me put it that way. For example, I often paint to music, and without much direction, just listening to the music gives birth to certain images. Do you have other artistic channel that you connect within yourself with?
Definitely music. I absolutely love music. I can't paint without music. So that is a huge thing for me. Other artistic channels. I can't think of any right now. Yeah.
That's great. Music has a big impact on most artists I know. Obviously on musicians themselves, this is their main flow. But music has impact on artistic outcomes of so many artists I know. And it is the kind of stimulus that can boost your mood as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned that the summit, you mentioned meeting so many great people and feeling so within it. What actually listeners or people who will tune in to watch it be getting in return?
There is so much. So first of all, we've got quite a variety of different topics we're covering. So definitely, mindfulness, mental health. We're covering NFTs. We're covering, there's a couple of the artists who don't have a background in art, but they started their artistic journey at the age of 30, 40 plus, and how to start something from nothing, how to work on those limiting beliefs that we have, that there's so many artists I know that cannot say the 3 words, I'm an artist. They struggle to say those words, I'm an artist, because they still don't quite believe it, because they kind of see artists as being like a Van Gogh or someone. They can't, they can't connect to that inner artist within them. So it's all these little boundaries we have. And what I would love is for the audience to really, really listen. There's a lot of things we know nowadays. We know a lot, but I would love for people to listen newly, if that's a word. Like, I want people to forget what they already know and to actually come with an open mind and to listen to these beautiful journeys that these artists have been through, the barriers they've overcome to getting to where they are. And hopefully a little bit of these golden nuggets might make a difference to your own life. And if that's just for you just to pick up that paintbrush that day and create something, or anything, but what we'd ultimately love is to take a little bit of action with the hope to get a little bit of momentum going to keep going, right? But it's just initially, I mean, Dorota, maybe even you can share the little exercise that you're going to be doing, which I think is absolutely wonderful, because even something so simple can be something so powerful.
Yeah, sometimes those simple aspects of life can ignite your creativity, right? There is even a book written about it. I think the title is Art of Noticing. It's about really looking and seeing what is around us, and noticing those little beauties that in my case, they bring the warmth into me, and the amazement by them makes me want to create something similarly beautiful. So that is the key, being watchful and noticing and being curious, stopping and looking at things, because I think this is the main barrier we are facing nowadays. Life is so speedy. Everything is such a on the go. We have no time really to look within. We are just meeting ends and making the big machinery operate, while we forget about ourselves, right? So that's the point. And you probably are right that that formula you shared, 80/20, is something really important, but it seems almost like unachievable in the speed of life that we have, right? Do you think that we will get the formula for achieving that formula? So do you think that the guests will provide audience with some strategies to get there?
There's I mean, getting there, that's an ongoing journey, and I think it's a long journey. In fact, it doesn't end. But it's kind of pivoting and putting people on the right direction. And we don't know what this direction is, only they know. But if we put all the cards on the table, at least they know what's there to offer, right? Like, for example, the topic of NFTs. I know very little about that, but I'm a designer and I'm an artist. So NFTs could be a very possible avenue that I could explore. But if I don't know, then it's something I would never dig into. So this is just putting our cards on the table, giving as much as we can, and then it's up to the audience to cherry pick what resonates with them, what they would like to action or not action. That's up to them, I guess. But it's my what I would love to do is just create that opportunity, create that platform where they've got a choice.
Indeed. Great. Well, I really do hope that it goes great, and many people will get ignited artistically, and gain some direction, if this is what they are looking for. Talking about barriers, if there is a person that listens to us now, who is stuck creatively, what advice, what first step you would recommend for the person to break that barrier?
I think you did touch on it earlier. I think we are surrounded by, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise around us. And I think sometimes we can't hear ourselves. Sometimes we can't listen to that inner intuition because there's too much chaos. So I think sometimes it helps just to stop, right? Just stop doing what we're doing, just to breathe, focus on our breath work, definitely look around. One of the things I absolutely love is walking in nature. We've got a lovely woodlands, probably about 10 minutes drive from where I live, and it is the most beautiful place. There's a lake there, which most of the time it's just still. It's like a it's just like a sheet of paper. It's so still, and that is one of my. I love going to that place. It's so beautiful because when I can just stand there, and when I just see this lake, it calms my mind because it's so still and calm that I start to reflect and mirror what I'm seeing. Then there were lovely bluebells at one point, which was stunning. There's pear trees, apple trees, blueberries, and things like that. Nature has something quite medicinal, magic in there. But another one is writing. I write a lot. I write a lot, and I always have. I've got writings from when I was 13 years old, when I was going through this depression stage where life was just the worst place ever, and that helps a lot because what that also does is it clears some of the congestion in our minds, and by emptying it out, it just allows fresh content to go in, and that for me is a refresh. As is painting and creating. Painting again, it's putting what's in there out. So again, you're creating that tiny bit of space in there just to allow for movement. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I can sign underneath all you said. And there is a great question from Dave.
Hi,
Will
Dave.
it show? Yeah. Would you say that collaborating with other artists or creatives could be a way to get unstuck and break through a creative block?
110%. Great question, Dave. It's we all get stuck. Doesn't matter where we are in our journey, and I'm discovering this more and more. Some of the artists I've connected with in the last few months are high profile artists who are looking really sexy out in the real world. They've got a massive following on social media. They're in X amount of galleries, they're doing some wonderful things, but they have barriers. They feel stuck. So it's so important to collaborate with as many artists, as many creatives, as many people that inspire you, because it's working together, and like as I said earlier, working with you, Dorota, Dave, and all the speakers for the summit has really ignited my soul, has lifted me, and I'm buzzing at the moment. I'm loving my life because I'm surrounded with people like you. And that, for me, is everything.
Amazing. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. There is something, and there is even a quote, I think Einstein said it, that creativity is contagious and pass it
Yes.
on. And we can feed on each other creatively, and and sometimes we can discover something that we would not come across. It could be something in our artistry, or a method, or whatever it is. But I
Yeah.
believe that it's a great way of discovering things that wouldn't come to us otherwise.
I couldn't agree with you more. For example, this summit, I could never in a million years do this by myself. I couldn't do this by myself. It's the collaboration of all these wonderful people, these beautiful souls coming together and making this possible. And that's what we create. That's what collaboration does. It unites. It you really see something that ever have been possible otherwise. So this summit, I love it when artists collaborate to create a piece of art, for example, because we all have our distinctive styles, but when we collaborate, we create something very different and unique that would never have been alive otherwise. So there definitely needs to be more collaboration for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah.
There is also a statement, if it shows here, it should. I think it's Adam. I have recently learned these two phrases. The word depression has two meanings within the word. One, depression means I pressed on, but secondly, depression really means depressed. And this really links to this what you said when you need to kind of offload and go to nature and regain the calmness, isn't it?
I love that. I love that. And that's what it is, deep rest. And I think we all need that. We all need that. I've got 3 children, and you think, depression comes with age and, et cetera, et cetera. That deep rest is needed for all of us. It's needed for all of us. And sometimes it's just, and I think we recognize that we need it when we feel something isn't right, when we feel, when there's frustration, when there's anxiety, when we're not comfortable with who we're being. That's when we need deep rest more than ever before.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that there is in literature there is that aspect of artists being heavy in certain struggles in life, mostly mental health. Do you think that it is true that many artists do create because they struggle?
There are many, many artists out there who I even know personally who have created their best work through their struggles. Um, I wouldn't say it's, I think what it is, that term break, what's the word? I think when we're struggling, okay, let me give my example. The times where I've been my lowest have been the times when I'm the most self-expressed, because that's when I'm a lot more connected with who I am. So when I create from that space, I feel my work is a lot more powerful because it has a lot more depth in it. So one of the things I do believe is the deeper we go, the more beauty we can create. It's that trampoline thing where the lower we bounce, the higher we jump. So the deeper we go, so when we are feeling down and low and like when we're in that kind of a dark kind of a place, we discover certain gems in there that can ignite creativity for sure. Yeah.
Amazing. You mentioned that you organized events for adults and children. This is I very often go to that topic about children and education and how our system supports or does not support growing the humans who are creatively conscious. Do you think that our educational system needs certain repairs to ensure that children grow creatively conscious?
100%. So it's so funny you asked that question. Yesterday, my kids and I went for dinner, and we have debates every so often. So one of the debates we had was, should art be a compulsory subject in your GCSEs, right? Because just before the kids do their GCSEs, they get to select their subjects, and they don't have to choose art. So my proposal was, art should be compulsory for GCSE. So I had all my arguments. The kids were saying no, because two of my kids are not creative at all, and they want to do maths and they want to do business and they want to do science. But the conclusion we came to was maybe art shouldn't be compulsory, right? Because kids might not want to dedicate that full whole GCSEs towards their career. But one thing that's really important is every subject should have creativity in it, right? So, for example, if you do maths or science, there's a way of teaching science and maths in a creative way. And also, even when you're solving a maths problem, there's a way of, there's an element of creativity needed to think outside the box to find that solution. So creativity is everywhere in every subject. So it just needs to be enhanced and it needs to be taken a bit more seriously. So that would be a good compromise to get children really building on their creative skills, because that can have miraculous powers as they're growing up and in their future years.
Indeed, I couldn't agree more. It's amazing that we are born creatives, right? Look at little children. When you remember your children being toddlers, how creative they are. And I even read recently that the quote about that when we are children, we are artists, and we are proud artists, and we show to the world our creativity. We dance in front of others, we perform drama plays, and we are so proud. But somewhere, as we are growing up, we lose that confidence. We lose that that need to be artistic. So something is there, and perhaps you are right that more creativity in subject in all subjects, school subjects, could perhaps ignite it. But I do agree that we need a bit more creativity, because like you said, without being creative, there would be nothing in the civilization changing. There would be no discoveries. Only by being creative and thinking outside that box that conditioning is putting us in, we can achieve something new and something a revelation, really.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, in case, because we talked so much about the summit, could you perhaps tell our audience how to tune in, what platform the summit will be streamed by?
Right, yeah. So the summit is totally free. So it's open to absolutely everyone, whether you are a little bit creative, you are flying and in your creative world, or not creative at all. It's actually for everybody. It's on Zoom. So it's really important to register to get the Zoom link. And then it's from 11 o'clock till 2 o'clock on Wednesday the 15th, that's UK time, and 11 o'clock till 2 o'clock on Thursday the 16th of June. And there's literally back-to-back speakers. We've got Q&A after each session. We've got a little practical exercise that Dorota is going to be doing. We've got a panel discussion, which is going to be really, really exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. There's so many different speakers, and there's lots of giveaways. The artists are coming together. There's lots of little freebies going. There's something for everyone. There really is. And you don't have to stay for all of it. Once you just have a look at the agenda, see what tickles your fancy, something that really resonates with you, and just come in for an hour. whatever time you have, or even while you are working, you can just have it on in the background and still tune in, whatever works for you.
That's amazing. I believe that we have put the link, Eventbrite link for registration to the summit in the bio underneath the video on YouTube. So I really hope that you can just click and register. And as we are coming close to the end of our airtime, I always prepare a little gift for my speakers. I create a bit of art with them in mind, and there will be no surprise to you that because we, talk about breaking barriers, and because of your summit, I couldn't help but use a bit of humor. In relating to that breaking barriers. So I created the piece that I actually create these kind of pieces with a bit of humor for business partnership that I started some time ago with another artist, where we create and sell affordable gifts for artists, for people with creative juices running or not running, and they perhaps need a reminder. So are you ready to see it?
Yes, I'm excited.
So this is a little sign that says artist magic wands in emergency cut loose, and there is a paintbrush and a pencil attached to it. It has lovely texture and very lovely colors, but it's a bit of humor in terms of breaking those barriers. Sometimes when we stuck, it would be lovely to have this kind of box that is, say, in emergency, just pull the trigger, right, to get back those creative juices running.
Oh, yes, I love that. I love it. Thank you so much. That's very sweet.
Thank you so much. It was lovely having you, and I am so looking forward to the summit that is just on the doorstep. Really, it's this week coming. Yeah. So do join our summit. Do follow Avnie on social media. The links are there, and I am wishing you a very successful summit and a lot of buzz, even more than now, to keep you dancing in your living room.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And see you next week for Art My Medicine podcast with another amazing guest. And do tune in to other videos and other talks on mental health warriors, as each provides some kind of enlightenment to whatever struggles you may be facing. Thank you so much, and have a lovely weekend.